Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'll be creating this simple news app where you can just get any news feed you want, the current top headline news in any. You can filter it to the country you want, but in this case we'll be using the US. So let me scroll and let me take you through how it works. So you can see the news. When I scroll, you can see how it works. You can see how it's beautifully designed, everything. Sorry for how it's scrolling. Please forgive me for my background noise. Please forgive me. Okay, so on the left hand side we have our code editor, which is the VS Code. On the right hand side we have our emulator. So first of all, let's log in onto our website and get our API key we'll be using for the news. So we click on Microsoft Edge. So in our browser we type news api.org. Okay, so since you've already created accounts, we just go to get API. But if you've not created account, you can also create an account. So we get our API. And this is our email, password, and API. We copy our API. And after copying our API, we create a .m file. Then we come to the .m file. Now in the .m file, before we'll assign our API to a variable, we have to prefix it with expo underscore public. Then we give API key equals, then our environment variable, and our API key, we place our API key over here. So control thing. The reason why we prefix our API key with expo public is because React Native only identify the expo public in the .m file to be used in our app.js. So whenever you don't prefix the API variable with expo public key, React Native ignores it. So sorry, let's save the file first. Then we go to our app.js file. Then we try to run our API key and see if it's working. So constant API underscore key equals process .env .expo underscore public underscore API underscore key. Then console log. Okay, so now we are done. Okay, it says undefined. Don't worry, it's undefined. We have to restart the whole React Native for it to console log over here. Since we've not restarted it, that's why it's giving you undefined. Yeah, that's how React Native pre-rendering works. So now let's try and use the API key in our project. So let's create a use effect function. So you come here, then create a use effect. Now the use effect will help will tell the React Native component to render whatever is inside it whenever the component mounts. So whenever we start an app, this app function will render the use effect whenever the component mounts. So constant fetch news equals async async equals, then we have our try block, try catch block. So inside the try block, constant restore response equals now we input our URL endpoint, that's our API endpoint inside the fetch function. So let's continue. This is https news api.org/version 2. So we are hitting this news api.org endpoint or site. So in this case, we are going to use the version 2 of the site. So vim2 slash. So in this version 2, we are going to get the top headlines. In the data, it will be returning with the top headlines and the common headlines, which is not top. So, but in this case, we need the top headlines. So in the top headlines, we query a particular category. So in this case, we want health, and also we query the particular country. In this case, we want US. So category query health equals health. And also equals US. API key equals, and then we output our API. So at the end of our route, we place the API key. So it will attach the API key to the route, which is very important because without the API key, it won't allow you access to use its data. So now we are done using the API key. So right now, let's store it in the data variable. We convert it into a JSON format and store it in the data variable. So data, constant data equals await response .json and right now, okay, JSON, sorry, share. So now let's set it to there. Set news state. So we have this state, we'll be setting our data in it. So constant array taking news, comma, set news, so equals is state. So let's set news equals data dot articles. Now let's console log to see if our data really works. Okay, so let's start the app again. Okay, so now that we've restarted our emulator, that's the emulator here, Expo project. Now our API key is running perfectly. It's no longer saying undefined. So let's continue. Now let's console dot error. So error fetching news. Error. Now finally let's ignore the finally. Let's ignore the finally. Now let's call. Okay, so this use effect function always ends with an array which contains a dependency, but in this case we leave it blank because we don't necessarily need a dependency at this stage, so we leave it blank. So now let's call the fetch news function. Now let's save and see if it will come. So fetching news error, JSON pass character unexpected. So pass a JSON character unexpected. So I'm coming. So okay, I think I found the problem. The problem is this key should be capital, and also the top headlines should be like this. Yes, I think we are good to go. Okay, so let's console log the data. So right now we have the data, the news data. So right now we can use the news data to create our news. So right now let's import a flat list. So now let's include our ref prop, which will take the flat list ref. So we attach our flat list ref over here. So now we have to also apply this style. We have to also be able to add this feature where whenever the user clicks on the button, it will open a new link to a site where he reads more about the news. So let's create this feature over here, styles.button. Sorry. Then on press. Okay, I'm not using this. Let me place it inside the pressable. Okay, so on press. So on press, then an arrow function, then we display the link, linking dot open URL, and then item dot URL. So now let's come to the implementation of the text rather. So at first we did a mistake by implementing the text as the pressable. So now we implement the text over here. Style dot button. Read more. So now let's save and see what will happen. See, property item doesn't exist. So okay. Okay, so I've seen where the error is located. The error is located in the render item block. You can't render this item outside this render item block. So, but in our case, instead of rendering this item over here, we are rendering it outside it. That's why it's giving us the property. So if you see this bracket is ending up over here, meanwhile it has to end up somewhere here. So let's do that. So we take this bracket, and this, sorry, take all this and end up then. Since we need one parent element, you have to take this and also end up here. Okay, so now our error has been solved. Let's save it and see if it will come. Okay, so the image property that means let's import the image. Okay, so now tada, we have our news. So right now let's try and design it. Okay, so I've seen where the error is located. The error is located in the render item block. You can't render this item outside this render item block. So, but in our case, instead of rendering this item over here, we are rendering it outside it. That's why it's giving us the property. So if you see this bracket is ending up over here, meanwhile it has to end up somewhere here. So let's do that. So we take this bracket, and this, sorry, take all this and end up then. since we need one parent element, we have to take this and also end up here. Okay, so now our error has been solved. Let's save it and see if it will come. Okay, so the image property that manages this, import the image. Okay, so now tada, we have our news. So right now let's try and design it. So now all the designs are found on my GitHub page. So you can log on to my GitHub and you find all the design. So right now I'll just copy and paste it over here so that it will be fast. The main goal is to understand how the main app works, the API, how it works. So let's paste it. Okay, so the error you are seeing is I've placed the width inside the app function, which is a local scope. So I have to remove it from the local scope like this and place it in a global scope, which is over here. Right now it's in the global scope. So right now let's save and see if it will work. Okay, here it is. Now our AI app is working. So right now let's scroll and see. Now it's working. You can see everything. So right now let me go over it again. So first of all, we tried to get our API from the website, which is newapi.org. First, after that, we stored it in our environment variable, which is a .env file, and also we tried to hit the endpoint over here using the fetch keyword or the fetch function, and also we converted it into a JSON format and stored it into a data variable. We console logged it. We set it to our news variable. That's we pass it as a data to the news prop. Secondly, we also use the FlatList to design the data that we'll be receiving from the news API. So first of all, we assign the data to the news. Then we also list each item. That we use the render item prop in the FlatList to list each item in the data one by one, which is what you are seeing over here. So when you look here, we take the item one by one, we design it into a card, which is over here. Then we render the image. That's if the image is available, we render it. If it's not available, we return now. Then we also return the item title over here inside the card. It's still inside the card. So if you watch, it's still embedded inside the card. It's still wrapped inside the card. So secondly, we also the item title, which is here, you can see over here, emerging superfluous string. Then secondly too, we also have this. We are also rendering the item.source.name, which is the source. We can see over here, gizmodo.com over here, and over here is BuzzFeed. Tell it to we are rendering the number of lines. That's the number of lines each description can take. So we are rendering the item description, which is over here. The UK is facing a surge of hospitalization followed by the novel variant subclade, whatever. Then we are making sure that each sentence take 3 lines. So over here it took first line, second line, and third line. So that's how it is. Then lastly we are rendering the button, which make it pressable. So this is the bottom. We are making it pressable. That's where you design it and we design it in green. So the rest is just design, and the design is on my website. You can also visit my GitHub if you want to see the design. All this code will be available in my GitHub. I'll be leaving it in the description below. Thank you for watching the video. Please like and subscribe. Thank you.